Subscribe to LearnCab and hit the bell icon to get notified.
Good evening. This is a course on operations management and strategic management. It is a part of the course of the intermediate course of Cost and Management Accountants of India. So in this subject, we will be studying the subject in two parts. One is operations management and the second is strategic management. So today we will learn what is operations management, why this is useful for a cost accountant, and what is the purpose of the objectives of achieving through the course of operations management. So we will be studying these things. Now we will see the main objectives of operations management. So what is operations? What is management? As you all are aware, operations, we will go to the definition and then see the object. Definition of operation management, we can split the definition into small pieces of information which you can collate and understand the total definition. As you can see here, definition of operation management says that it is a configuration of resources. Now what is configuration of resources? In any enterprise, you see there is a configuration of resources. Resources can involve man, material, machine and labor. All these are part of configuration of resources. Combinedly, you can achieve the objective of the enterprise that it is designed for. This is the first definition of operations management. You can see here, for provision of goods and services. That is, this configuration of resources is mainly for the provision of goods and services to the society. So every enterprise is designed around providing some goods or some service to the society. There is a fine difference between goods and services. So goods involve basically provision of tangible products like cement, textile, anything like that. Services involve provision of services. That means there is no tangible product, but there is something useful to the customer. Like it can be like a taxi or a railway ticket. When you buy a railway ticket, you are given a service. That means you can travel to the destination point through that ticket. That is a provision of service. To achieve the main objectives of an enterprise. That means every enterprise is centered around particular objectives like textile industry. If you see the textile industry, they have an objective of providing you so many thousand spindles of textile or yarn per hour. If you take a cement industry, it has an objective of 1 million ton of cement per annum, or any such objectives will be there. Ultimately, all these configuration of resources are for the provision of goods and services which will ultimately reach the main objectives of an enterprise. So all these definitions are related. The fourth definition says that customer service leading to customer delight. What is customer service and what is customer delight? That means the idea of providing all these goods and services is to make a customer more comfortable, more quality of life and give him a better living. That is the whole purpose, ultimately leading to satisfaction of the customer, and we say delight of the customer. That means he must be happy to see a product and he must be yearning to buy more of your product and recommend it to others to buy the product. These all are definitions of the operations management. Optimum resource utilization. The definition of operations management also involves a particular responsibility on the enterprise that he must use the resource only to an optimal extent. For example, if you require 1000 kg of an input to derive a 200 kg of an output, like you can see example classical I can say is sugarcane. Now you may need a 1000 kg of sugarcane juice to produce 200 kg of sugar. Now optimum utilization says that you don't have to use 1500 kg of sugarcane to produce 200 kg of sugar. Then you are not optimally utilizing the resource. That means you must know every resource is very scarce and every resource has to be utilized in the most optimal way to achieve the objective of an enterprise. Customer service. Now let us see what is customer service. So far we saw goods. Now we will see customer service. To provide agreed level of goods and services. If you see this point, customer service does not say that every time your goods has to be the best in the world. It says it must meet the customer requirement. That's why we said to provide agreed levels of goods and services. That means you would have contracted with the customer that I'll be providing the agreed goods and services. So we must achieve that level of goods and services. Next, you can see when you say customer service, it says that goods with the right specification, price at the right time. See, all these require lot of dedication and hard work. For example, if you see the competition today, if a particular company like Amazon says that he will give a service in 2 hours, he also says if I am late by 2 hours, I will give you the goods free. See, this is the type of goods and services you see today. Every industry must meet that commitment of level of timing, the right product, the right quality at the right time. All these are very important to achieve customer service. So we say goods with the right specification, price and right time. The timing is also very important. Goods and services meeting regulatory requirements. See, there are a number of regulations in many countries. A simple example of regulations when we say is pollution norms. Now suppose you make sugarcane and you leave the bagasse and all those outputs which are unuseful for the output of the service into a river or pollute the river which is going nearby. You know today how Ganges has been polluted. So we need to follow the regulations. There are pollution control norms available. There are a lot of regulations available. You need to regulate the quality of air, water and land. All this comes under regulatory provisions. That means your goods should be available meeting these standard regulatory requirements. Otherwise, you may give a product, but if it is not meeting the regulatory requirements, in a long run, it is not a sustainable business. That means either the land will get poisoned or the air will get polluted. You know, today the pollution levels are increasing day by day. If we don't follow the regulations and see only profit as the motto, that's what results in. So we need to follow for a proper customer service all the regulatory requirements of the particular land. The fourth one is goods and services meeting safety requirements. For example, these are some of the requirements which are not specified as a part of a purchase order. A simple example is you see mobile regulators. Sometimes as it is charging, when mobile is being talked on the mobile, when people are talking, something bursts on the face and his face blows off. Many people have experienced in some Chinese products these type of quality problems. You cannot take safety granted. Like when you make a product, it is your responsibility to ensure that safety is maintained at all costs. This may not be specified by the customer, but it is an inherent requirement. So all this will lead to very good customer service. Operations management, resource utilization. As we said, resource utilization is also a very important aspect of operations management because resources are very scarce. Like today, you know, coal depletion, there is coal available for only 80 years in India. For further 80 years, after that you don't have the coal resource. Now, if you utilize the coal in a very haphazard way and not in a very optimal way, then 80 years can reduce to 60 years. So we need to, this is an example I am giving, in every field of technology, you need to use the resource very carefully and most optimal way. Optimum scarce resource utilization. As you see, the objective of any enterprise is to utilize the input resources which are very scarce, means depletion of the resource is taking place very fast. So you need to be careful. The input output norm states that you should not use more input than what is desired. So this is also a very important requirement, whether it is textile or whether it is cement, whether it is whichever field you take, copper, any metal extraction. Previously the industries were very inefficient. A simple example I can quote is, you take energy. When Japanese were making steel using 600 kWh energy per ton of steel, we were in Steel Authority of India Limited taking more than 1000 units per ton of steel. So when somebody could do it at 600 units per ton of steel, we need to explore and we need to do research as to why we are consuming more. That is what we mean by optimum scarce resource utilization. Energy is also a very scarce resource, so we need to use it very optimally. Resource involves materials, machines, labor. So when we say resource, it's not only machines, it is men, machines, material, labor and money also. Money is also a very scarce resource. So you need to plan your inputs at the lowest cost, at the best quality at all times. High levels of productivity. So there is always a fine difference between production and productivity. We should not confuse between the two things. Production is a absolute terms of output. Productivity is output by input. That means if you produce 200 kg of sugar in 1 hour and you produce 200 kg of sugar in 1 hour using 10 people, in the other case using 20 people, that means which is more efficient? Productivity is always output by input. That means per labor hour, per machine hour, per anything, per rupee of investment, per rupee of capital invested. So productivity always talks of the output of a particular industry with respect to some input resource, and that should be the maximum if you want to get maximum profitability. Otherwise production may be more, but it will incur losses, right? Wastage reduction. This is also a very important step in operations management. Wastage reduction. Many times we find that unknowingly lot of resource get wasted. It goes as scrap into the yard, and scrap value is very low compared to product value. So our design should be such that wastages are reduced to the maximum possible extent. Lastly, you can see high quality standards. Quality is also a very important parameter in any operations management, because ultimately quality can lead to reduction of returns. That means when you sell a product, if a customer returns it back to the factory telling that this was not the intended product that was required by me, or says that the quality of the product is not good, like several examples you can see, sometimes even 1 million vehicles will be brought back to the factory because it didn't do the intended purpose. The design was not as promised to the customer. These type of things are very bad for the profitability of the industry as well as future of that particular industry. So all these lead to optimum resource utilization. The combination of all these things can make the enterprise successful and meet the objectives of the enterprise. So you can see as a summary that optimum utilization of resources on the input side, optimum productivity of the industry at the output side are both required to meet the objective of a particular enterprise of increasing the shareholders' wealth and giving proper goods and services to the society. Thank you.
Subscribe to LearnCab and hit the bell icon to get notified.